Can you tell me about what you are drawing here?
I'm drawing World War, World War One gas shells.
Okay.
So this one.
Let's talk about drawing. Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Jessica Smith and I help you simplify home education so you can work wonders in your home. In this video and podcast episode, I am going to continue on this series of how to teach subjects at home. And today I'm going to talk about drawing, which is one of my favorite subjects. I love to do it, I love to teach it, and I hope that I can convince you that it is just as important as other skill-based subjects like math and reading. You know, I feel like it's one of those subjects, drawing and art in general, it's kind of one of those fluffy subjects. It's elective. It's if we have time, extra time, or if we have extra money, then we will teach our children how to do this, but it's not essential. But I really do feel like it is essential, and here's why. We are not only a very visually focused, excuse the pun, focused society, or it's very important to us. We watch videos, we watch movies, we love beautiful art or graphic design, yet it's just not one of those subjects that we feel is very important as math and language arts. But if you think of drawing and art as a way that we express ideas, just like writing and just like mathematics is, then you realize that learning how to draw is a way that you're learning how to express ideas. And for many of us, visually drawing or painting our ideas is really the most natural way for sharing our thoughts. For some people, it may be writing or orally, like speaking, or it might be math, using mathematics to express ideas, like in science. And so learning how to draw is so important. It's going to be important for everyone, but especially those people that like to express themselves visually. And so I do feel like it should be up there as one of the 3 R's with writing, arithmetic, reading, and drawing. And it is a skill-based subject, meaning that you start from the beginning. Just like in math, you can't just start doing calculus. You need to work up, and drawing is the same way. So maybe you are not an artist. Maybe you don't feel like you can barely draw a stick man. How can you teach your child art or drawing at home? Now, there's going to be a lot of great YouTube videos. There's a lot of great courses on things like Udemy and Skillshare. But what I have found the best way to teach children, based on not only taking art lessons for many years myself, but also now teaching 3 of my kids art, this is what I have found works the best and what I have noticed. In the beginning, children are just learning how to control their pencil and their hand. And you can teach them skills or techniques that are more advanced for them. And they can do that. But if they can't even draw a straight line, or they can't draw a curved line or a circle, they're going to be very frustrated, and the end product is not going to be what they expect. They can learn to shade, but if they can't draw a straight line, it's not going to look good. So what I have found in the beginning, especially when they're young, lots of drawing, just letting them, have scratch paper out, pencils, crayons, markers, and letting them get a lot of control with their hand-eye coordination and being able to draw curved lines and straight lines and shapes. And that just comes with practice and playing around. In first grade, I begin with this book, Creative Form Drawing. And this one is more of a Waldorf book, Waldorf education. And it just starts with curved lines and straight lines. And they practice doing those, not only on paper, but you have them use their hand, their leg, their nose to do the curve. All of it's gonna help them understand what a curved line looks like. And they do all kinds of these. Now, this is going to help their handwriting as well. So this is something that I do with my boys 2 times a week, starting in 1st grade. Now, it goes up in complexity. So then they're going to do angled lines. They could do obtuse, obtuse, all kinds of angles. And then it moves to more of these complex drawings and shapes. And then spirals. And then learning to practice doing this from a straight line to a curved line, or just to a spiral, and then a spiral to a straight line. And here is something else that's really important, is having them draw mirror images. And so it just moved, like I said, it just moves up in complexity, line upon line, precept upon precept. Forgive me, you're probably getting tired of hearing that phrase, but for these skill-based subjects, it's very important to just move up slowly in complexity. And so I have my kids start that in 1st grade, and I try to have them do something new every time we have a lesson. Now, Charlotte Mason recommended 2 days a week, 20-minute lessons, so you could do more than that. It might take you a while if you just do 1 page just twice a week. So, I mean, you can do it based on how your child is feeling. When a child has mastered one of these, does really well, then we move on to the next shape or concept. And that's for the first 3 years. They do drawing lessons. And then Charlotte Mason quit drawing lessons after that in the morning lessons, and children did it on their own in the afternoons. And so I haven't quite done that. I still have my boys do some drawing lessons after 3rd grade, and I'll tell you how I do that. So once they have been working on creative form drawing for a while, then I begin just having them use those shapes to draw things. So this is a fun book. It's on archive.org. It's a really old one, but they've republished it. And it just takes basic shapes and teaches kids how to use those basic shapes to draw things. There's animals, there's people's faces. Here's one, kangaroo and a giraffe. And so once they have a good handle on that and shapes, then I break this out, and this is something they will do during their drawing lessons. And there's a book that I really like called Drawing with Children by Mona Brooks. And that once they have a good handle on shapes, putting them together, then I begin drawing with children, where they learn the different techniques and skills of drawing. So shading and perspective and overlapping. And I'll do a separate video on all of these things in my Patreon. I'll show you what a lesson looks like with my kids. So if you're interested in going more in depth on each of these resources, you can check out my membership link below, and I will have videos showing exactly what that looks like. And also, I'll have a blog post linked below as well. So if you're a visual person and you want to see this outlined, okay, so when do you start this book? When do you start this book? When do you start this skill? I'll have that below. And just a reminder that skill-based subjects, they should not be learned on a schedule. So it shouldn't be 1st grade, you're going to try to finish this book, and in 2nd grade, you need to do this. It really should be when your child has mastered this skill, move on to the next one. It might take a week, it might take a month, but you are moving along with your child and meeting them where they're at. And the same with math and language arts. Trying to fit your child into a box is why we aren't doing public school or traditional school. It is why we homeschool, so that our children can move at their own pace and have a more personalized education. So I just want to remind you of that. You don't need to try to fit these things into a certain time. This is just moving with your child, and when they learn a skill, when they master how to draw a shape or something else, then you move on. And so the Drawing with Children book, I unfortunately don't have to show you. I lent it to a friend, but it just goes through, I think it's 5 different chapters with various activities to help them learn. Like I said, there's overlapping, there is shading, there's perspective, and then there's the human form, which she has a great way to teach children how to draw the human body in different positions. And my boys, we use this all the time when we're doing drawings for history and for literature. So though that book I highly recommend, the creative form drawing. And then the final book that I start with my kids when they have finished the drawing with children is the drawing textbook. This is so gross and well used. My mom used this for me and my siblings, probably just me because I was the oldest and she was very motivated and did a lot more with me. But this one is by Bruce McIntire, and he was I wouldn't say an illustrator, he was an animation artist for Disney back when Disney was doing the movies like Snow White and Peter Pan and all those older ones when they actually had to draw everything. So he goes through 7 what did he call them? 7 laws of perspective. And he does have a lot of, like the first, 30 pages are for the teacher or the parent, just giving an idea of what they're going to be learning here. And I think there's 37 lessons, and you start with lesson 1, and this is 3D shapes. Now, what I found when I tried to start this with my first grader, because he wanted to do it, and I said, yeah, let's do it. He had a hard time making these look good because he could not draw this curved line. And that goes back to the creative form drawing. He needs to be able to draw a curved line. I almost said a straight curved line, but an evenly spaced curved line and an ellipse, and then straight lines that are the same size or same length. Now, again, that's in creative form drawing gradually bigger straight lines, and then drawing straight lines that are all the same length and at the same level. Such an important skill for them to have before they begin these lessons, and that's why I start with creative form drawing. And then you go on to the same shapes or the same objects, but you're adding shading, and then you move on to more perspective, having a pencil that is this way and then having it the other way until you get to the end. And you're going to be doing some really more advanced perspective with that building, and then with the banana, and it's just building on itself. I really like this book, and I believe you can buy it on Amazon. My boys really like it, and I've seen my oldest skill improve a lot, and he's taking these principles, these ideas as he's drawing and applying them to different things. So he's not always just drawing a banana that's unpeeled or a birthday cake, but he's saying, hey, that birthday cake shape I could use to draw a tower in a castle, or I can use that wedding cake shape to do like a pyramid or a different architecture or building from Mexico, or the Mayan ruins. So it is a really good book. I highly recommend it. Those are the only 3 books that I really recommend you buy and use them in that order: the creative form drawing with children, and the drawing textbook. Now, this is pretty far away from what Charlotte Mason recommended and did in her schools, and it's one of the few subjects that you'll find that I just am like, I don't agree. And the reason is that Charlotte Mason believed in starting with brush drawing, and it's pretty much watercolor, but the paint isn't nearly as watery. It is much more pigmented, and so it's a lot more like painting with, I wouldn't say acrylics, but it's just a lot thicker, and it doesn't bleed as much, and it's a lot more controllable than typical watercolor. Now, I wouldn't call myself a watercolor artist, but I do love to use watercolor. It's my preferred medium. However, it is very difficult for children. It can be very difficult to control, and my boys have become very frustrated with our brush drawing lessons. Now, I have bought all kinds of brush drawing resources. I bought Rochelle Baburna's one from Simply Charlotte Mason. They're beautiful. They're very helpful in learning how to control the brush. And I have done them all, and it is like pulling teeth to get my boys to do it. I don't know why. They just don't enjoy watercolors much. They do enjoy playing with watercolors. They will put wet on wet. They'll just put water on their color, on their paper, and then they'll put little drops of paint and watch them explode. They're really in that experimental stage of watercolor painting. They do not want to use them for their nature journals. They do not enjoy using them for doing their history or their literature drawings. They just like to do pencil sketches. And I have been introducing them to more watercolors through projects in this book. This one, she really teaches watercolor by little projects. I think there's 30 projects, and just starts out with fun little things that are experimenting. For example, this one's just teaching colors and mixing. This one just teaching a basic thing with a fun little project, all the way to teaching how to layer colors. If I can turn the page, layering colors, adding it, deepening the color. So we've done some of these, but I'm not consistent with it. My boys really enjoy drawing. They love pencils, and that's something Charlotte Mason did not recommend doing, was starting drawing with pencils. She recommended brush drawing. So that's just I'm just throwing that out there in case you really want to follow exactly what she did. I think that the brush drawing by Rochelle Baberna is a really good place to start, and I really hope someday that I can get my boys to use that course that she has, as well as get into more watercolor painting, brush drawing someday. Right now they just love pencils, and that's what we use. Now, something that I noticed when I was doing the Drawing with Children book by Mona Brooks, she uses markers. And when I was looking at the tip of markers and the reason why she used markers, it was pretty much the same reasons why Charlotte Mason said to use brush drawing. There's a lot of reasons why, and I won't go through all of them here, but I think that markers are a fun thing to use, especially in the beginning when you're doing Drawing with Children. If your child really doesn't want to use brush drawing and watercolors, if it's very frustrating for them like it was for my boys. And so using markers and learning how to put color in to their drawings was one thing we did when we did the Mona Brooks book. So just something to think about, that maybe markers would be a good alternative to using brush drawing. Now, after my boys have finished the drawing textbook, they are done. We don't do any more. If they want to learn more drawing, then they can go ahead and look at some courses on Udemy, Skillshare. There's YouTube videos if they want to learn how to draw something specific. There's YouTube videos on there for everything. And as part of our drawing lessons each week, as a family, we have our history discussion on Monday, and we have our nature study discussion on Wednesday. And I will take principles from drawing textbook and the how to draw and what to draw, get some ideas from there, and help them draw something, a scene from history or literature. A lot of the time when I ask them to draw a scene from history or literature, it ends up being just stick figures and in 2D. They don't really know how to do that. And I think this is an important part of drawing, is helping them step by step figure out how to make a scene or how to draw the thing that they are thinking of. So what I will do is ask them, hey, we've been learning about, say, the Wright brothers the past week. All of us have, in various books we've been reading, but we've been reading about the same topic in history. We discuss it. I say, okay, let's draw a scene, what you think it looked like when the Wright brothers were at Kitty Hawk. And so they'll just be describing it to me. I'm like, okay, so the plane, what does the plane look like? And we may pull up a picture, or if there's no picture, they describe it to me. And I'm saying, okay, so it's gotta be about this big, this shape, and what are the shapes that are gonna be involved? You know, a rectangle, circle, and then maybe a triangle, but it's gonna be kind of getting skinnier because it's farther away. So I'm drawing this on our chalkboard, and then they are doing it on their paper. The most recent thing that we did was the Titanic. So I drew it on the chalkboard piece by piece, and we talked about what's going to be in front, what's going to be in back. Then we talk about what shapes they're going to be, where would it be shaded, and we slowly build it up and draw this scene. This has been immensely helpful in their drawings being much more realistic, and they take more time on them. They need more instruction from me. We do this for literature and for history, and then for nature study, I will help them with drawing animals or leaves or whatever that they want to draw. But I also love to refer to John Muir Laws. He is the nature notebooking guru, and he has a ton of videos online on how to draw almost any animal or plant or insect that you can think of from nature. And so I'll use those as well. It's helpful to have someone instruct on how to draw something. So that is how I teach drawing. That is how I use drawing in our daily lessons. It is how I teach it and help them slowly build up that skill and be able to express their ideas and put their ideas down in a visual way on paper. And if you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. If this is listening to this as a podcast, please leave me a comment or a rating. It really helps the podcast get out there. And again, thank you so much for listening.